Hi everyone. One of the most iconic images of the late 1980s was June 1989 when one man stopped a procession of tanks in Tiananmen Square. Now, the army generals were so afraid of what the students wanted to bring, the reforms that they wanted to bring, that 2 days later they did get into their tanks of fear and did massacre the students in Tiananmen Square. Now, myself and my friend Mary G happened to be there 3 years later, and you could still feel that vibration in the air, and you could feel the fear when you were speaking to people, those that felt able to speak to you. So I got thinking about, now I don't know a lot about tanks, but I know that when you look through the tank, you're looking through a very narrow portal, and you're usually looking ahead and aiming at what you want to fire at. So the closer those tanks got to the students, the less they were able to see them. And it's much easier to hurt and to wound when you can't see. And when we're in fear, we're capable of doing many, many things. So then I got to feeling about how we get into our tanks. And we get into our tanks of fear and anxiety and depression and worry. And then we roll them into our homes like a Trojan horse. And most of the time we're totally unaware or oblivious to the effect of our vibration to the family around us. And we can roll over our neighbours when we purchase enough toilet paper to last our family for a year, leaving none for the person behind you in the queue. Or you can roll over an old lady when you shout at her in a supermarket for crossing a line on a floor, and a line that wasn't there a day before, and a line that she can't see because she's in her tank of anxiety. Or we can roll over our children when they really need a cuddle or a bit of comfort, but they can't get to us because we're in our tank and we can't see them. And it doesn't matter if your tank is painted with the UN colours, if it's painted white and you're the peacekeeper. You're also very capable of rolling over family members who feel that they don't get a chance to speak in order that the peace be kept. And the other thing about a tank is it's a very narrow space. It's very cold metal. And when you're in that space, your energy gets bigger and bigger, whatever lens you're looking through. So when you're looking through fear or anxiety or depression, it's getting bigger and bigger. And you're looking out through how you look, and you can't see all the other things around you, and nobody can get to you. And your ego will keep you there because you feel safe, because it's your way of looking at the world. And even though it's miserable, your ego will keep you safe because that's its job. So our challenge today, if we choose, is to step out of our tanks. And the other interesting thing about tanks is that when you go into them, you have to step down. And when you step down to sit into a tank, vibrationally you're going down the scale. So like you're going down into fear, into control, and into the lower vibrations, and into anxiety very often. But when you choose to come out of your tank, you're raising up the vibrational scale. So you climb out of a tank. And when you're on the vibrational scale, you're rising up through awareness, maybe into hope or understanding or compassion, and finally into love. So when we step out of our tank, what I'd like to share with you is one of the most powerful communication technique that I've ever witnessed. And that's the North American First Nations talking stick. So the first thing that we do with this technique is you gather your family around, and whoever's in your home during this time is your family. So you gather your family around, and kind of going back to our last presentation, perhaps you might like to light a candle. And the candle could be white, which would represent clearing and cleansing. Or you might choose green, a green candle will be balance and peace and harmony and grace and ease. Or for this, you might choose to light a blue candle. And the blue candle is all about communication and family and connection. So when you light the candle, you're bringing in that light into your circle. And then you can bring out your talking stick. Now, for the First Nations people, for the Native American people, the talking stick was a sacred thing, and it often held the emblem of whatever band or tribe it belonged to, and it would have beautiful carvings from Mother Nature, from the animal kingdom, because the native peoples are very close to Mother Nature. And the technique of the talking stick is that only the person holding the stick is allowed to speak. Now, your talking stick could be a wooden spoon or could be your child's crayon, but you put the intention into that this is the talking stick for your family circle. And only the person holding the stick may speak. And they may speak as long as they choose and to express however way they choose, without fear of contradiction, of somebody coming in to solve their problem, or somebody's agenda or their view talked over them. And they speak until they feel understood. And then our job as the listeners is to listen, but not just with our ears. We listen with our eyes. So how do they look when they're speaking? Do they look happy, or do they look sad or in pain? And then we go down into the heart center and into the gut, into the solar plexus. And then you're looking at how do you feel and how do they feel when they're speaking. In psychology terms, this is called active listening. And it's really being present to the person who's speaking. Now, COVID-19 has changed the world for all of us at this time. And it's changed it in different ways for different people. So the older members of the family, right down to the teenagers, right down to the little ones, all have a different perspective on how this has affected their lives. And perspective is everything. And when you're allowed to speak and really feel that you're being heard, that's true healing. That's how healing happens. That's the magic of what it is. And so within your family, if you can create a space like this and hold the intention of it, that each person, right down to the youngest, gets their chance, you can change the vibration of your home and your family. It's a very powerful technique. And in order to do it, you have to step out of your tank. You have to lay down your armor and be willing to show up, just you, and not with a preconceived idea of how it's meant to go and what people are meant to say, but really be there just to listen and to have your presence there. And if you choose to do it, it has the power, and it is a magical power. To me, it's healing at its highest level. It has the power to change your family and transform your world. Namaste.